التالية هي خبيرة تسويق الوجهات السياحية والسفر والمعروفة على وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي باسم 5 Foot Traveler، وهي تحدثنا عن السياحة وكيف يمكن أن تكون هي كنز للدخل القومي. سارة جالو من أفضل خبراء السفر في العالم، تعمل في كبرى الشركات والعلامات التجارية في مجال الضيافة ومجال السياحة الوطنية للمساعدة على زيادة الوعي بالعلامات التجارية وتعزيز خدمات السفر. وخلال السنوات الست الماضية قامت سارة بزيارة 113 دولة في مختلف القارات. فنرحب معا بخبيرة تسويق الجهات السياحية سارة جالو. سارة, the floor is yours.
أنا مبسوطة أوي إني في مصر ومالدونيا. So I have a confession to make. I'm sure you can tell that I don't speak Arabic, but I bet you wouldn't have guessed that as a travel expert, I've had a fear of flying for most of my life too. The mere thought of getting on an airplane would give me a panic attack, but I learned that if you want to succeed and achieve big goals, then you must push yourself to get outside of your comfort zone. And I'm here to tell you that when you do that, the impossible becomes possible. In fact, Egypt is the 113th country that I have visited. I've taken my fear of flying and turned it on its head. I have polar plunged in Antarctica, jumped off the world's highest bungee in Macau, trekked the gorillas in Uganda, and even road tripped through Mongolia. The impossible is possible if you're willing to take that leap, believe in yourself, and go for it. My name is Sarah Gallo, and I am the 5 Foot Traveler, because yes, I really am only 5 feet tall. Now, does anyone know the meaning of awe? According to the dictionary, awe means an overwhelming feeling of reverence and admiration produced by that which is grand, sublime, and extremely powerful. But to me, awe stands for something else. Authentic, wonderful Egypt. And that's the image that we want to work to create to share with the world. But first, let me introduce myself. I've been traveling full-time for 6 years now and have visited 113 countries across all 7 continents after I conquered my debilitating fear of flying. My passion for travel came about while I was studying at New York University. They had a phenomenal study abroad program, so I studied first in Italy and then a second time in Argentina. It was while studying abroad that I launched the 5foottraveler.com, not knowing that it would go on to change my life forever. I graduated early and top of my class with a degree in media, culture, and communications and the business of entertainment, media, and technology. I know, it's a mouthful. Since, I have taken this knowledge to become a destination marketer, travel expert, and photographer. I have consulted businesses with their social media strategy and have collaborated with hundreds of well-known brands around the world. Throughout my travels, I've actually visited a third of the Arab League states. You can see here photos from the United Arab Emirates, Jordan, Oman, Morocco, Bahrain, and Qatar. I visited these countries between 2014 and 2018, and each time I told my family and friends where I was headed, I was met with concern for my safety. Because I'm young and I'm blonde and I'm small, people seem to think that I am more at risk. But I've set out to prove that these countries are safe for females to visit. And today, I could add Egypt to the list of places that I visited within the Arab League. Unfortunately, I was met with the same hesitations leading up to my trip. However, I've set out to prove that Egypt is not only safe to visit as a female, but has even taken steps to empower women along the way. Throughout my extensive travels, I've heard from countless others who feel that this area of the world is dominated by men, where the men are in control and the women are forced to stay at home. Well, I know that that's not true from firsthand experience. Perhaps more women would feel comfortable visiting if they saw other women working in the hospitality industry. The beauty is that women are naturally well positioned to take on this challenge. We are armed with storytelling abilities, communication, and conflict resolution skills necessary to accelerate the sustainable tourism agenda. Making women's voices heard within the system has never been easier, but it has to be a global effort, as society only moves forward when women are empowered. And I know that Egypt is making strides. I've seen a few women-only tours to Egypt and have recently learned of Yasser, the first female Bedouin guide. That's remarkable and something that I, as a woman, would love, love, love to support. The more we can integrate women's rights into the system, the more female tourists we will see in return. The fact of the matter is that more females travel solo today than ever before, and we need to put Egypt on their radar. The thing is, before social media, this wasn't as easy. Travel was different. How did we learn about people, places, and cultures? For some of us, it was through school, others through word of mouth, family stories, or traditional print media. Maybe you had a local travel agent who sold you package deals, or you discovered new destinations on TV. But no matter how people learned about travel, we inherently knew about certain timeless sites as they were always part of our culture and history. Here you can see my very first photo taken overseas in front of the Eiffel Tower and various other iconic sites. Christ the Redeemer, the Great Wall of China, Machu Picchu, the Sydney Opera House, and most recently, the Taj Mahal. Just the other day, I had the opportunity to visit another timeless site. Like many other travelers, what drew me to Egypt was the strength and mystery of the Great Pyramids. In the minds of many, Egypt is a historical mecca, and a trip certainly wouldn't be complete without a visit to such a remarkable site. But as we all know, Egypt is so much more than that. If we are to set Egypt apart as a top 10 travel destination, there are many places to highlight which tend to be overlooked due to the popularity of the ancient pyramids. So how can we shape Egypt's narrative so that it's appealing to every type of traveler and not just history buffs? So that it's appealing to people interested in nature and the outdoors, people that want to climb a mountain or dive in the sea, people that want to cruise around the world or immerse themselves and live like a local. There's enough diversity here for every type of traveler. The thing is, with the advent of the internet and social media, the world is now at our fingertips, literally. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, booking portals, destination-specific articles, editing tools, and instant access to brands and communications. It has inspired a whole new generation of travelers who feel adequately prepared to go out and tackle the world on their own. Thanks to social media, we have not only become confident travelers, but conscious travelers as well. People are more aware of the environment due to social media. As you can see here, there are 6.6 million eco-friendly hashtags on Instagram, 2.8 million climate change hashtags, and 700,000 eco-tourism hashtags. This is what travelers are searching for today, and these are the topics that are clearly important to us. So to that end, sustainability has become a hot topic in the social world, and more people want to try to do their part wherever they can. And step by step, Egypt is, in turn, doing their part to move toward a more eco-friendly mentality as well. Since 2014, Egypt has had 80 hotels obtain the Green Star Certificate for Environmental Sustainability. 80 hotels encompassing 20,000 eco-friendly rooms. That's an amazing statistic, and that's just the start. With 30 protectorates encompassing a staggering 15% of Egypt's total land, there's so much that can and will be done from the environmental standpoint. Egypt has also recently invested in climate resiliency infrastructure run by women to help them reach their sustainable development goals. If we look to the Medicinal Plants Conservation Project in the St. Catherine Protectorate, for example, you will see that women are actively involved in protecting fragile and threatened resources. Whether they are facilitating and income-generating activities like the production of handcrafts or involved in the decision-making process as board members, this project has set the way for women to be involved in ways that had previously been discouraged. Projects like these help pave the way for countless more economic empowerment models that attract international attention. Imagine a ripple effect of sustainable tourism across all 30 protectorates, where we are capitalizing on the existing natural beauty, spearheading grassroots community initiatives, and sustaining livelihoods across the country. At the end of the day, two of the biggest topics right now happen to be gender equality and environmental sustainability. So how do we bring these into Egypt's new narrative? How do we shape Egypt to be seen as a country that economically empowers women and drives eco-friendly tourists? One where we shift the narrative from a narrow, history-based focus to a more broad, natural wonders focus which hinges on the protection of the environment. Well, through high-quality, unique content. It is through images like you see here that can both intrigue visitors and increase tourism through national branding. So, for instance, we've created these images for the Ministry of Tourism of Indonesia to promote their natural beauty. And the same needs to be done for Egypt. We need to promote authentic, real, and raw imagery to avoid creating unrealistic expectations. So, how might we make this a reality? Introducing the Awe campaign. Authentic, wonderful Egypt, because Egypt is quite literally full of wonders, and that's what we need to help people see. Right now, we should work on shifting the tourism lens from a narrow, history-based focus to a more broad, naturals wonders focus, which shows that it's appealing to every type of traveler. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, social media is the most efficient way, both in cost and speed, to disseminate information. Unfortunately, international news outlets, particularly in the United States, only focus on the tragedy and unrest. There's a lack of positive news coverage on Africa and the Middle East, and that needs to change. We need to leverage social media to offset the negative images that come to mind, and instead replace them with images of an ancient history, a rich culture, a hospitable society. If we could leverage these positive attributes, we could increase tourism to Egypt and thus revenue. So, I say that the most efficient way to increase revenue to Egypt is through a social media campaign, also known as the Awe campaign. But unlike other campaigns where a select group of travel bloggers or content creators are invited to capture a picture-perfect country, I suggest that we run a contest to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Egypt. The reason for this is twofold. First, it will empower women around the world by asking them to showcase their best photography. And second, it will show people online that Egypt is not only safe, but full of sights beyond belief and sustainable. And, oh yeah, I forgot to add, it should be open to women only. So, first, we will ask the interested women to upload their favorite travel photo to a platform of our choice. In order to ensure that we bring authentic talent to Egypt, this submission will be two-part, the unedited photo and the post-processed photo. This will help us select talent who are skilled enough to highlight the beauty of Egypt without the need to over-manipulate images. The contest we will then ask each contestant to have their network vote for their photo. In order for someone to successfully cast their vote, they will need to follow Experience Egypt on social media, which is an easy way for Egypt to gain exposure right then and there. We could leave voting open for about 2 months and then have a voting committee or the Ministry of Tourism choose 10 of the top 30 contestants who they feel will best represent and capture the real Egypt. Those 10 women will go on to win a trip to Egypt for them and a +1 and will be required to do 2 things. They will stay at sustainable hotels and resorts, and they will be required to submit 15 high-quality photos for the Ministry of Tourism to use. This way, Egypt will not only be gaining positive exposure online as well as marketing materials, but they will also be receiving positive exposure online that shows that Egypt is not only wonderful, but safe and sustainable too. Of course, this is just the start. We have a lot of work to do to rewrite Egypt's narrative to awe and wonder. But together, I am certain that we can make this happen through a purposeful and intentional marketing strategy. In implementing the Awe campaign, we will boost Egypt's international engagement while stimulating the local economy, bringing communities out of poverty, and empowering those with the capacity to drive sustainable change. This is already in Egypt's history, going back to the time of the pharaohs and their use of plants to create papyrus. Now it is up to us to build upon a legacy and write the modern chapter of Egypt's sustainability story. Shukran.